All I can do is speak from my direct experience in my coma, and the profound spiritual awakening or expansion of consciousness that took place inside that place. We are ultimately God. The highest truth and the most natural realization that you can ever have in your life is God realization, is to realize that you are that higher power. There's not me and something outside of me. There is no reality outside of consciousness. And we come from the unconditioned, unified, infinite and eternal loving consciousness source, or God, or whatever word you want to insert there, and we go back to that place. But to believe it's something outside of you is a monstrous miscalculation of our five senses, of our human experience. There is no thing that is not a piece of God. All expressions of life are a unique, perfect expression of this universal consciousness that's beating your heart and regulating your immune system and gave you 25 trillion brand new cells in your body since you started watching this video without you asking for it to do so. We are God, and any person or book or religion that's preaching that you should look outside of yourself, that's why I called my book Reconnecting with the Infinite Power Within. Any religion or person that's teaching you to place your power at someone else's feet or believe in something outside of you is taking you for a ride, ultimately. It's stripping you of your rightful place in this universe, which is as, literally a God in the flesh who is creating and manifesting your experience of life in each and every moment. So when people talk to me about, something outside of them, or this spirit that's out there, or a higher power or an angel that's separate from them, ultimately you need to let go of all your belief in some sort of power outside of you. And who are you? You are consciousness. You are quite simply an unconditioned, eternal consciousness that contains all things. Everything comes from there, and yet it is no thing. It is nothing physical that can be named or claimed, or to think that, God is a man or a woman. No, you've missed the point. God is out there. No, that's not the case. God's sitting on a cloud, or no, heaven is your inner world of consciousness. That is it. And all of humanity is existing at separate points on this scale of consciousness. It's like what they refer to as Jacob's ladder. Everyone's on their own little journey home, the place that you came from and the place that you go back to. In a very short time from now, you'll be going back there. So you need to honor life. It's once you realize who you are and where you came from, you realize the purpose of human existence. And so it's actually natural, it's innate that you start to honor life and feel more gratitude. But you've got to stop making enemies and stop seeing stop seeing the world and perceiving the world through the five senses. Because the five senses are just decoding a tiny fraction of what is. Your five senses are deaf, dumb, and blind. Literally. And so when we are addicted to the physical world, materialists, we are literally behaving as though we're deaf, dumb, and blind. But the ultimate truth that you can discover for yourself, most natural realization in the world that can take place. So obvious. A kid could understand it. This is so simple, is that you are God. There is nothing out there. There is no reality outside of human consciousness. And this ladder, Jacob's ladder, is finally at the top of that ladder where you realize this is what awakening is. Enlightenment is the end of suffering and causing suffering to other people, and to realize that you are that. What else could you be? So this truth is of the highest importance. If collectively humanity is going to stop killing each other and causing division and killing this beautiful planet that we live on, is that we awaken. Not to place your faith in some book or some religion or something outside of you. It is to finally look within, as Carl Jung said. And if you look within, you awaken. And if you keep looking out, then you're a dreamer. We're dreamers. And ultimately believing in fairy tales. I remember my mum talking about my grandma passing and how frightened she was at the end. She was Catholic, and she was sure that here's this prepackaged off-the-shelf way of living and thinking and perceiving in the world, and this is how it is, and so I'll live my life by it. And I contrast that with my mentor, my spiritual teacher, when I came out of my near-death experience, John. John passed in complete gratitude and connected to spirit, and was excited for the next adventure. He was looking forward to returning home, back to this unified state of consciousness, which it was awe-inspiring for me after being mentored by him to see that, here we are at the very end. That's where you get the truth of all truth. Steve Jobs, in one of his last speeches said, you want to figure out what your purpose is? If you were going to die tomorrow, that's it. It's all over. What would you want to do today? What would you say? How would you love, create, express? Who are you with? Why does it matter? That's how you find out the highest, ultimate truth, is to ask yourself those questions. And my mentor, John, was there at the end, more alive and more heartfelt than I'd ever seen him before. It was truly beautiful to witness. And so all that I do, all my teachings, all my sharing about the reality, that the path that I've walked, this is just my life. This is exactly what I experienced in my near-death experience, and how I changed. How am I here right now without pain? I broke my back in 6 places. I broke my right shoulder. There's absolutely no pain in my shoulder. I do physical manual labor. I had critical head injuries. I was told I'd be permanently disabled, so I've got to share this message. This is just me letting you guys know of far higher truth than we came from a monkey through a common ancestor. It's the biggest lie we've ever been told. You are that consciousness. Take away the consciousness and there's no physical world, because that perceiving, witnessing presence, that observer that watches an emotional charge, that has the thought, that has the experience, that fundamentally is us. Limitless. Having this human experience. But you weren't told this at school. But those who awaken, those who have a near-death experience, realize you are God. You are God. It's the most natural realization in the world that you can ever have. And it resonates on the most true and fundamental level. And I've spoken to other near-death experience survivors, one just recently actually, who said the same thing. We've been hoodwinked. We are God. There is a far higher truth than what we were taught.